Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I do happen to have a yoga mat, but if you don't let that worry you. I happen to also be standing on my living room rug, so maybe you use your rug as your yoga mat for today, or a carpeted area in your house is terrific too. 2 yoga blocks, but maybe you use 2 thick books as today's substitute. And I have a folded blanket, which is as easy as a thick bath towel, beach towel, or the throw blanket from your couch. We will start in what's called child's pose. And although it's sometimes called a resting pose, not for all of us is it comfortable the same way. So let's just take a look at what our options are here. You might be on the tops of your feet. If that's uncomfortable for your feet, you can curl your toes under. In theory, hips sinking towards your heels. In reality, your knees might not dig that. It's totally fine. So just come up a little bit further. Arms can reach in front of you or alongside you. I'm kind of a fan of arms reaching in front of me. And then settle in. You could rest your forehead on a block, but this is a place to stop. Turn the arrows of attention inward so that we can start. Take this inward turn as a place also to establish awareness of breath. If you're able to breathe in and out through your nose, that's ideal, but if that's not happening today, you're not doing anything wrong. Find a way that you can fully experience your inhale and maybe add a bit of a pause at the top, and then fully experience your exhale and add a little bit of a beat at the bottom. Working towards that. A few moments of silence for us all to breathe and land together. Staying in your child's pose, walk your hands over to the right. So you'll go off the edge of your mat if you're in fact using a mat. And what I like to do is lift my hips off my heels a little bit, walk out, and then find a sweet spot where I settle in and I feel a bit of a twist, a bit of a stretch, all along the left side of my body in particular. And then we'll walk ourselves through center, and off the left side of our mat, maybe you kind of hoist your hips up a little bit, and we settle. Hips towards heels as much as that happens for us, and now it will be the right side of our body that we feel inspired into a little bit of a stretch. We bring ourselves back to center and onto all fours now. On all fours, we'll add a twist of a different sort. Right arm reaches up to the sky. Swoop it underneath you. We're aiming to come to the right shoulder and the right side of our head. And then you could prop up onto your left fingertips. You might put your block or folded blanket underneath your head. Pause a moment or two in our twist. Then we bring ourselves back to hands and knees. Second side, left arm reaches up. We swoop it beneath us, aiming to get to the left side of our head, our left shoulder, making it comfortable with any props. Maybe onto right fingertips, but feeling a little twisty-poo here. We'll come once again onto all fours and use this as an opportunity to prepare for plank positions in the future. So note that your shoulders are over your wrists. We're not too far back. We're not so far forward that it gets a bit tender for our wrists. Currently, we're on hands and knees, but let's now turn this into a modified plank by walking our knees back maybe about 5 inches and curling our toes under. What we don't want is to become a hammock. So push the ground away and feel your low belly lift towards your spine. And we look quite plank-like right here, which is a compliment. That's actually what we want to look like. We'll continue to push the ground away so that we don't collapse into our joints. Look a little bit forward, shift a little bit forward, and see how slowly we can come in one piece all the way down onto our belly. Then uncurl your toes and bring your forearms parallel to the long edges of your mat. I'm scooching back so I don't spill off my mat. Begin to activate your legs by pressing the tops of your feet down until you feel your kneecaps come off the ground. And then let's tend to not a collapse in our shoulders, a pushing of the ground away here too, and a traction of our elbows towards us so that we feel our chest through the gateway of our arms. Chin parallel to the ground. So we're not trying to do the back bend with our neck, we're letting that happen in our upper back. Lower down enough that we can try this on for size as a cobra versus a sphinx pose. So slide your hands back next to your ribs now. Elbows are in, not winging out to the side. Chin parallel to the ground. And now we just see if we can find that heart through the gateway of our arms with our hands next to our ribs. If you prefer sphinx, you can always go back to sphinx. Lower down, curl your toes under in one chunk. So that means core strength, come to all fours. From all fours, our first down dog together today. Now think of a hook in your tailbone, so it's like you get a little sassy, and your hips go up and back towards that back wall. For the first one, step your feet as wide as your mat, so maybe about 3 feet apart. We really don't want to crumble into our hands, so push the ground away, lift your sit bones high, feel all 4 sides of your waist become longer, and then walk your feet forward to your hands. Feet are hip distance and parallel once we get there. Hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart. Exhale, fold back in, but we hinge at our hips and feel elongation through our spine. And then inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V. We stand in our mountain, palms facing out. Mountain pose is the foundational pose of pretty much all of them. So let's allow ourselves time to really feel into what we've got going on here standing in our mountain. Then we will move. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Hands can come to your thighs, slide to your shins, or down to your ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart, slide your hands up a bit. Bend your knees deeply. Palms go flat on the ground. Step back to down dog, but don't forget the hook in your tailbone and to push the ground away. Shift into plank as we inhale. Remember, shoulders over wrists. And now let's bring our knees down, a little kickstand. Belly firm, a little forward shift, and we come all the way to our bellies in one solid piece. Uncurl your toes, activate your legs, either sphinx pose or cobra pose. Then lower down, curl your toes under in one piece, all 4s. And then the hook in our tailbone takes us into down dog. From down dog, walk forward, feet come to our hands. Feet are hip distance, inhale, glide your hands up. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold in. Rise, reach, inhale, arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky. Then we stand in our mountain, palms facing out. Again, just like that. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up, uplift your heart, bend your knees deeply, palms flat, step to down dog. From down dog, shift shoulders over wrists, bring your knees to your mat, one solid piece to our bellies slowly, and then uncurl your toes, cobra or sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under again, and then come to all 4s. The hook in our tailbone takes us to down dog. From downward facing dog, we will walk forward, feet to our hands. Our feet are hip distance, and we inhale, glide our hands up our thighs. Exhale, fold back in, keeping length in our spine. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, and then stand. Palms facing out. One more, sun salutation A. Inhale, V shape, arms overhead. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, glide your hands up as we uplift our heart, and then bend your knees deeply so your palms can get to the ground. We step back into our down dog, hook in our tailbone, and then plank position, shoulders over wrists, knees come down. We slowly lower all the way to our bellies. Uncurl your toes, come into your Sphinx or Cobra pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, we come to all fours. And then into our downward facing dog again. Really oomping into our arms, very much pushing into our arms. Walk your feet forward to your hands, feet are hip distance. Glide your hands up, inhale, lift your heart. Fold in, sliding your hands down, and then rise, reach thumbs to the sky, inhale. Pause, palms facing out. Let's take our two blocks tall on either side of our mat. Off the side so they're not right underfoot, but within reach. Maybe those are books. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale, lift your heart. Bend your knees, palms flat for a downward facing dog. This time in down dog, lift your right leg back behind you, step it forward to your hands. Most of us will need to help it along. Bring your books or blocks into the mix, and let's walk our right foot over to the right. So we've established a little bit more space side to side in our current posture. Left hand stays down, right arm floats up to the sky, and we pause. Instead of letting our right hip swing way out to the right, let's imagine that we're interested in that right hip drawing back towards the back edge of our mat. We'll pause a moment or two here. A couple of options as we exit. Take both hands to your blocks and then responsibly move those blocks off the side of your mat. Palms flat, step to down dog. Either stay here in down dog or come to plank, shoulders over wrists. Bring your knees down, belly firm, all the way onto our bellies. Uncurl your toes and come into a cobra. Lower down, curl your toes under, through all fours we go, and we meet our friends who stayed in down dog, finding the hook in our tailbone. Left leg lifts behind us. Step your left foot forward, help it along if that's helpful. Trot your blocks into the mix, and let's heel toe our left foot to the left just a little so we have more space. Right hand down, left arm up to the sky. Here as well, instead of swinging our left hip way out to this side, let's encourage it to swing back towards our right heel and pause for a few moments of breath. Then we return our left hand to our block. Both sets of blocks go off the side of our mat and out of our way as we step to downward facing dog again. Walk your feet forward to your hands, feet are hip distance. Glide your hands up, inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, fold back in. And then rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. We'll stand with our palms facing out in our mountain pose. We'll add a chair pose to our sun salutation dance. Chair pose, sit back and down into a chair that isn't there, as I like to say. Exhale, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles as we fold. Slide your hands up, inhale, lift your heart. Bend your knees deeply enough that your palms go flat. We step to down dog. From down dog, lift your right leg behind you, help it along to step it through, and then bring your blocks or books into the mix. This time, back foot flat, and right foot inches to the right a little bit. Work that front leg, right leg towards straight. Now, not for all of us is that going to get all the way straight, and that's fine. While we're here, we'd like to think of a hinge at our hips and an elongation of our spine. So this is not us rounding into a fold. This is us lengthening into a little bit of a fold. And a fold that's going to turn into a twist. Left hand down. Right arm up, this time with a straight or maybe just straighter front leg. Same thing here, instead of swinging our hips out to the right, Let's encourage right hip back, left hip forward. Another thing to check on is that we're not crumbling our shoulders into our ears. We're actually creating some space between our shoulders and our ears. 3 moments together. Let's bring our right hand onto our block. Bend our front knee and spin on our back toes. So the whole thing is very slow. Blocks off to the side, we step to down dog. Many of us will stay in down dog. Some of us will come to plank, shoulders over wrists. Bring our knees carefully onto our mat. Lower slowly to our belly. Cobra or Sphinx pose is great sometimes. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours. And then into down dog, we've got a hook in our tailbone that brings us up and back. Left leg lifts, and we step our left foot forward. We'll slowly construct our pyramid pose. So hands on blocks, back foot flat. We begin by walking that left foot over the left, and then straightening our front leg, but remembering that we're not interested in a rounding situation here. We are lengthening into a little bit of a fold. Once we get our foundation and we think not hips out to the side so much as left hip back and right hip slightly forward, then right hand will stay on our block and left arm up to the sky in a twist. If you think about it, this was sort of like something we first started on our hands and knees doing, although we swooped underneath us. But remember that twist? Oh, the twists and turns of our practice in our life, right? 3 silent moments here. Then we unwind, spin on our back toes, bend our front knee and move our blocks out of the way so we can get to a down dog with a clean surface. Walk forward, feet come to our hands, feet are hip distance. Inhale, glide your hands up, lift your heart. Exhale, fold in. Remember our friend chair pose? Let's toss that in here and then stand up into our mountain, palms face out. We will now add a few different friends to a flow. So chair pose is our inhale. Hands to our thighs, shins or ankles as we fold and exhale. Slide your hands up, inhale, palms flat. We step to downward facing dog. Our right leg lifts behind us and we step it forward, helping it along if need be. First, our friend, the lunge. Maybe heel toe, right foot to the right, and then keep left hand on your block, right arm up to the sky. Remember this guy? Now unwind, take your right hand on your block, turn your back foot flat and move that right leg towards straight. Remember, it may not straighten entirely. Before we add the twist, let's draw our right hip back a little, left hand down, and right arm reaches to the sky in our twist. Then we unravel and spin on our back toes again, and this is a new friend. Ready? Move your blocks a foot out in front of you and lift your left leg back behind you, turning yourself into a bit of a letter T. Then in our letter T, we add a twist. Left hand stays on our block. Right arm flows up to the sky. 2 moments here. Right hand comes to our block. Step feet hip distance apart, chair pose. One more plot twist, hands in a prayer. Left elbow either inside of your left thigh or outside of your right thigh. 2 moments twisting and turning here. Unravel into chair pose, then stand up and pause. Arms along our side. Before our second side, move your blocks to the outside of your mat so they're within reach for the second side or the second time through our sun salutation flow. Chair pose gets us started. Exhale, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Inhale, glide your hands up, bend your knees deeply enough that your palms go flat on the ground, and we step to down dog. Once we're in down dog, left leg lifts. We step our left foot forward. First, it's our lunge. Trot your blocks in, maybe inch your left foot to the left. Right hand stays on your block. Left arm spins open towards the sky. Then we unwind this, turn it into our pyramid slowly. Back foot flat. Front leg straightens, and maybe left foot inches over to the left a little bit. Right hand will stay on our block. Left arm floats up to the sky. Unwind, spin on your back toes. Move your blocks a foot in front of you. Lift your right leg behind you. Once we get our letter T nice and landed, right hand stays down here and left arm reaches up to the sky. 3 moments where we are. And then left hand back down, right foot hip distance from left. Chair pose. I moved my props on the way. Hands in a prayer. Right elbow inside of right thigh, or right elbow outside of left thigh. A chair twist moment that brings us back to center and into our chair, and then we stand into our mountain pose. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, glide your hands up, bend your knees deeply, palms flat. Step to your downward facing dog. Stay here or shift to plank, shoulders over wrists, knees come down, and we lower completely onto our belly. Uncurl your toes and bring yourself either to cobra or to sphinx pose. And then lower down. Curl your toes under, come through all fours. And then hips lift up and back into downward facing dog. This time, walk yourself forward. We're going to a seated position, so make your way into a seated position, and we will possibly sit on our folded towel or blanket. You could even sit on one of your blocks if you'd like to. A seated cross-legged position with our right shin in front, so let me show you the recipe. Instead of crossing here at the ankles, keep walking your feet away from each other until they basically land underneath your knees. So knees and ankles are kind of looking to add up, to stack up. That way, you're going to feel it in your glutes. So we talk about this as a hip opener. We're really talking about stretching the gluteal muscles around your hips, and then we'll add a twist here. So arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Turn to your right, and once you've turned as far as you can, take the outside of your left hand to the outside of your right thigh, and your right hand back behind you. Every inhale, we grow tall. Every exhale, we nudge a little twist into our seat. And we'll use this as almost a moment to meditate on our twists in our practice today from this seated position. 45 minutes of silence starting now. Unwind, arms to the sky. We turn to the left now, and the outside of our right hand comes to the outside of our left thigh. Left hand back behind you. Inhale, lift your heart, and exhale, a little loving nudge into our twist. We stay for a 45-second meditation together. Twisting on this side. unravel. Lean back, waggle your legs straight out in front of you. We will rearrange with our left shin in front. So left shin in front of right shin. Remember, we're walking our feet away from each other, kind of gliding into a place where you might feel a little bit more inspiration in our glutes. Then this time, an actual seated meditation. You can have your palms up or down. You might decide that this is the moment to prop up on something, because we're going to sit for 2 minutes in meditation. I'm going to give you lots of silence and a little bit of guidance. If you're comfortable with closing your eyes, close your eyes. If you're not comfortable, that's fine and totally normal. You can just gaze down, so it's less likely that you're distracted. And then once we find our seat and our gaze, which is ultimately inward, whether your eyes are closed or open, we will have 2 minutes of silence, maybe a little snippet of guidance from me here and there. Starting now. That's our 2 minutes of silence. Here are your options. Just stay where you are for now. And maybe stay where we are and meditate to finish our practice. Let that be where you rest and digest. If you are a fan of lying down in Shavasana final meditation, you'll just lean back, ease your way onto your back, and spill across the floor. They're both great ways to finish. Again, I'll get quiet. Like I said, it's our rest and digest, our final meditation. Welcome to stay in your Shavasana final meditation or seated meditation as long as you'd like. If you're lying down and ready to come up, bend your knees, place your feet on the ground. Slowly roll to either side. Use your hands so your head is the last thing to come up, and we join our friends in our seated meditation moment. And feel the feels. Appreciate this practice and our time together today. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I look forward to us doing it again together soon.